Your move.
What is going on, you guys? Bashtian here, and today I'm coming at you with a bit of a review video. So essentially, there's been a lot of hype surrounding a DDD deck, especially with Pack doing extremely well at the Las Vegas YCS remote duel this past weekend, getting top 8 with this exact deck coming out in front of you. Of course, I did not build this myself. I really just prefer to stay to what I know. For the most part, I like my control-based decks. I try to stay away from combo decks, but this is really intriguing. Now, for those of you guys who do not know, the DDD deck is something that came out, or I think around 2017, I believe, around that time, 2018 maybe, and it had some support initially, but it did come out with some DDD structure decks, which I thought were really cool. I even picked some up myself back in the day, and they didn't really live up to the hype. Don't get me wrong, it was still really cool and it had a lot of hype behind it, being able to go and combo off endlessly, seemingly. Almost you combo off almost as hard as you would with a World Chalice deck when that deck was at its peak. However, the really backdraw to DDD decks is that the ending board was never really that oppressive. The ending board was never really as good as it really could do. I mean, essentially, a lot of these DDD monsters, especially the extra deck monsters, share a very similar effect where if a DD or DDD monster is special summoned, you can go ahead and special summon another one from your graveyard, vice versa, things like that. That never really amounted to much as field presence. With the addition of some fantastic cards like Purira's Map, with the Dark Contract of Patent License, I think it's really cool. That Link monster that we got, I believe we got this a year ago, the Abyss King Gilgamesh, but also more importantly, cards like the Deus Machinex and cards like the Divine Zero King Rage has been really good, especially with DD Griffin. I think it's exactly what the deck needed. Just have a lot more, not just consistency, which this deck does extremely well, also has the opportunity to just put more field presence on the board. And I think that DD Griffin, the Zero King Rage, and Deus Machinex do exactly that for the deck, and also leave plenty of room for hand traps. Again, this is Pack's build. He got top 8 at the most recent Las Vegas YCS, and he did fantastic. I was watching a live stream and just watching him go off and have those interactions, I think is absolutely amazing. So I just want to go ahead and break down 3 great reasons why I believe DDD is doing so well as of now, and why I believe this is going to be the future of the meta in Yu-Gi-Oh! The number one thing that DDD does extremely well is that it is ridiculously consistent. Playing essentially 12 to 13 starters in your main deck is extremely easy, almost just as consistent to see one of your starters in your opening hand as a deck like Prankits, which we know is simple, 1-card engine, does extremely well by itself, but it does a lot more when, of course, has the Brave Token engine. Now, this does not need any Brave Token engine. In fact, get rid of all that nonsense. Just throw a whole bunch of hand traps in there and you're good to go. But essentially, cards like DD, Savant Kepler, like Copernicus, your triple Dark Contract with the Gate, Purira's Map to go ahead and search out your Savant Kepler, and even 1-for-1. Those are all fantastic starters, and they're all gonna end up with pretty similar boards. Essentially, any way you can get to DD Griffin, essentially any way that you can get to 2 DD monsters on the board gives you full combo, and if you can make them both level 4, you just go that much even more of a plus. But that's also why you play cards like DD Cerberus, just to go ahead and do a lot of level manipulation, so you can go ahead and summon out cards like the DDD Wave King Caesar, and then rank up essentially into Marksman King Tell from there. So that's essentially what I love about this deck, is that it's, again, extremely consistent. It has, again, the room for all these hand traps, and again, the versatility that it really has, also to be able to play a card like Purira's Map, to be able to go ahead and search out your Savant Kepler or your Copernicus, whichever one you want, is absolutely just ridiculous. And not only that, guys, this deck is extremely budget as well, except for the Baron de Fleur. This deck is so like essentially just 10 cents for all these cards except for Copernicus. For some reason, that card rose up to, I think it was $18 at its peak, something wild, absolutely just ridiculous. But now it's back to around $8. If you want German copies, would highly recommend, because, you know, why not? So that's going to be really cool, as well as that it's extremely budget. Again, there are some alternative options if you don't want to play Baron de Fleur. For example, the Rudy Rose Dragon or the DDD Super Doom bright Armageddon. This guy right here, I'm selecting over him for a reason. This card is actually really good as well. It's not nearly as good as Baron de Fleur, but it's still gonna be really good as well. So again, guys, the consistency of this deck is absolutely off the charts. Any way that you can go ahead and get, again, just 2 DD monsters goes into full combo with this deck. It's absolutely just ridiculous. A quick example of that, you would go normal summon Savant Kepler, activate the effect to add a Dark Contract from your deck. You go ahead and add Dark Contract with the gate. Fantastic. You search DD Griffin. DD Griffin, go ahead and special summon itself if you control a DD monster, and boom, you already have 2 DD monsters on your field. So pretty much Savant Kepler is a 1-card full combo, which is absolutely just ridiculous. You go into your Gilgamesh, and you pretty much go into all 3 Gilgameshes in 1 turn. So that's where you go ahead and maximize out at 3. That's essentially just the key, is so consistent. Number 2 reason why I believe DDD is the future meta best deck is its resilience. So not only is Savant Kepler essentially a 1-card engine, a 1-card full combo, I should say, is that this deck has such great resilience that is absolutely just untrue. Even if your Savant Kepler gets negated, whatever reason it might be, you have other cards in your deck and in your hand potentially to go ahead and combo off. At the end of the day, even if you break, you are going to break with a whole bunch of hand traps, with a large variety of hand traps. And not only that, you're also going to be, you're playing a pendulum based deck. Even if you don't have your Savant Kepler or your Copernicus, if you have maybe just a DD Griffin and Savant Thomas and something else, you can still get a monster on board. You can still go ahead and have other things that you can potentially navigate your way through. With so many starters in this deck and so many hand traps, even if you, the worst case scenario, break, you are going to stall your opponent out and get to a turn 2, 3, 4, 5 and keep going out that way as well, because this deck, not only can it just completely blow out your opponent turn 1, it can also just go into the grind game and is absolutely really good in the grind game as well. I mean, yeah, you're not gonna have your Gilgameshes, things like that. I mean, in the deck like this, realistically, you could play cards like Pot of Avarice and you could be just fine. Not 3 copies, that's a bit too much. Again, I wouldn't advise it. I might try it out myself. We'll see how that goes. Might contradict myself, maybe a little bit. But it's just really good as well, because you're going to be putting a lot of cards into your graveyard also, even though you are playing a pendulum based deck. But what's really cool about this deck is, as far as its resilience goes, is that there's so many different avenues you can go ahead and take this deck. You can go more of a control route, you can go more conservative route, you can go more aggro, and it's perfectly fine. You can do all those same things with this exact same build, just depending on what your matchup really is, which I think it's absolutely just fantastic. That gives you all those different types of options. You know, if one avenue gets stopped, boom, that's fine. You can go ahead and go into another one. And that's why I was watching Yassine's video where he was doing the combos, things like that, and he said something in that video that I think was really interesting, and it made a lot of sense. Essentially, is that any 3+ card combo that exists with this deck, which there are hundreds of them, 3, 4, 5 card combos, they can play through 2, 3, 4, 5 interruptions with really relative ease, essentially, which I just think is absolutely amazing that it has that type of resilience as well. So overall, the resilience of this deck is completely just outmatched currently, and that's why I think with the popularity of DDD moving forward, I think we're clearly going to see the favorited tier 1 deck. Reason number 3 as to why I believe DDD is going to be such an amazing deck moving forward, guys, is the hand traps. I've spoken about it already briefly, but let's just go ahead and really just get into it. So because this deck is so consistent, because the deck is extremely resilient as well, because it has 1-card engines, again, it's very similar to a deck like Prank Kid, to where the original Prank Kid, when it first came out, essentially you were playing a whole bunch of hand traps. When Mew Mew was first released, I should say, you're playing a whole bunch of hand traps. All your cards, all your Prank Kid's cards are 1-card starters very easily, and that gives you the space and the versatility to go ahead and be able to play as many hand traps as you want. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more deck profiles out there where not only to play 12, maybe play 15 hand traps in the main deck, because I could easily slap in Droll and Lockbird in here, play a 45 card main deck, and I am confident I would still be okay with 15 hand traps in the main deck. That's over a third of your deck and you still have the confidence to where you are going to still see your engine moving forward. You're still gonna have that confidence that your deck is consistent enough that you're gonna be able to combo off and then have two to three hand traps in your hand to go ahead and combat whatever else your opponent's doing. That essentially becomes part of your interruption on your opponent's turn as well. So not only after you go ahead and go off, summon your Ex Machina, you activate your DDD Headhunt, things like that, summon your Siegfried. So you already have interruptions there, negates, things like that on the board. You can take your opponent's cards, things like that, which is really, really amazing. But to back it up then with 2 to 3 hand traps on top of it, it just absolutely just blows anything that I can really say out the water. And this deck is just absolutely phenomenal for those exact 3 same reasons. This is a deck that, again, unfortunately, all of my cards for DDD are still in New York. But I know I say this a lot with a lot of decks that I go ahead and review, that I go ahead and do before you buy, things like that, and decks that I am interested in, which, sort of funny enough, I am almost done with my Trickstar build. So I finally got my Trickstar Festivals in. That's going to be really exciting, but no one really cares about that in this video. So watch out for a Trickstar deck profile coming out in the near future. Beside the point, I am definitely going to be building DDD in the near future. I'm going to be going to New York on late March, so it's going to be really exciting as well. Get to see some of my old friends. But not only that, I am really going to also pick up a lot of my old things that I still have in New York left with my parents. So I'm going to be picking up this deck. Only thing is, I do not want to spend $100 on Bear on the Floor. That's just me personally speaking. So I'm probably going to pick up either Ruddy Rose Dragon, or going to go ahead and pick up one of the DDD Super Doom King Bright Armageddons. That is a mouthful. It does not need to be that complicated, guys. I definitely am very, very intrigued by this deck. I think it's really, really fun. I think that if not for the Bear on the Floor, like I said, extremely budget friendly for anyone who is looking to come into the game for the very first time. This deck is notorious for being extremely, I guess, big brain plays. It's not the easiest deck to learn, but if you can pick this up, it's going to teach you all the summoning mechanics. Is probably the I don't want to say the only deck, but the best deck at using all of the summoning mechanics, except for Ritual for now. And I just think it's really, really cool as well. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about DDD in the comment section down below. If you guys did enjoy, if you guys want to see more videos like this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe for more videos. And I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one. And hopefully I'll have my DDD deck by the time when that time comes.